Hello, welcome back for another mod spotlight video on ARK Survival Ascended. Today we are checking out the brand new premium mod map, Appalachia, that released only a few days ago. Appalachia can be purchased for a small sum of $5. It comes from the modders Kaluga and the man that needs no introduction, Nakatus, who has brought us beautiful maps in the past such as Fjordur, Valgero and Svartalfheim. So this map is holding high hopes, and I am super excited to check it out. It can be played cross-platform. I've heard that the map is around 80% complete, so still not fully there yet. But let's not mess around in exploring the biomes, map features and everything else in between to see if the map is really worth the price tag. Let's get straight into it. Firstly, let's take a look at the tropical beaches in the south, an easy region known as the White Sand Inlets that you can spawn at after creating your character. Strangely, the majority of the southern fresh spawn zones appear to be located off of the actual main map, which is pretty odd. We'll get into this in more detail later in the video. It's a lovely looking area. This region is filled with all your basic resource gathering needs to get you started on your journey through Appalachia, and for the most part you will spot a variety of friendly and neutral wildlife which will give you the perfect introduction to the map. Further towards the southwest, we have what appears to be a swamp-like area. Definitely doesn't appear that way as far as first impressions go, as I feel like I've taken a vacation to the tropical islands in the Philippines. But as you do make your way further north of this beautiful location, you'll realise it's not a vacation, as you begin to spot dangerous creatures lurking in the shadows like the Baryonyx, the Sarco, the new formidable Deinosuchus, or the plethora of Spinosaurus prowling the area. This area looks amazing, and I'm still unsure if there is actually a swamp on this map, but this region definitely comes close. There is a wide variety of beautiful forest and rivers scattered all over the map, and they merge so well together that it can be difficult to actually split them into separate biomes. It really does pay homage to the countryside within Central America. Appalachia steers away from a fantasy-themed world and brings realistic exploration back in the form of classic biomes. I love the originality in the map design as a whole. These forests are dense, full of flora, and let's not forget your resident fauna as well. In the forest you will find your variety of creatures inhabiting the area that you typically find within any other jungle in ARK. Beautiful rivers are visible throughout the entire map, so there's definitely no shortage of water. Some of these rivers are also rich with silica pearls, which is always a welcoming discovery. Located around and within the forest, you'll find mountains throughout the map. And you guessed it, wherever there are mountains, there's usually some tasty resources to be had, and the Appalachian mountains are rich with them. I will go as far as to say that these are the best metal clusters I have ever seen. I wish there were more metal spawns like this on some of the official ARK maps. Metal is not the only resource that is plentiful here. There's a mountain which I'm dubbing the Crystal Mountain, flooded with crystal nodes, and obsidian is also found scattered all over the map, so you'll have no trouble finding all those rare resources. The Redwoods forest definitely has its rightful place in the Appalachia world. With most maps it usually sticks out like a sore thumb, and to be honest it does feel a little out of place, but it really is such a fitting biome for this map, sharing the exact same qualities as any other Redwoods in the game. However, I did notice a massive lack of creature spawns in the biome, so maybe that needs looking into. There is also this area that is built like a giant beaver dam, which is very intriguing, and from my experience it's not even accessible, but I really do hope that they make this into a beaver spawn and make a ton of accessible dams, because that would be really cool, as I haven't even seen any beavers spawning on the map. The plains is a nice open area which can be found around the southeastern part. It kind of reminds me of the highlands from Ragnarok. Very similar types of large dinosaurs roam in the area like Brontos, Rexes, Allosaurus. Surprisingly, I haven't seen any Gigas or Karkas spawning, and this is the place I probably expect to see them, so I'm not even sure if they even exist. Once again, it goes to show that you don't have to complicate the levels of terrain and overpopulate it with harvestable trees, rocks, and all that jazz to give the biome more character. The ocean is the next biome I'll briefly showcase. There are definitely things I like about it, but it still does feel a little empty right now. It'll be nice to see some more variety of foliage, rocks, and a bunch more rare resource nodes. I don't think I even saw any silica pearl clams down here. The ocean is well populated with a variety of sea creatures. However, there does seem to be a substantial amount of aquatic wildlife missing from the ocean. For example, I didn't see any Tusos, Mosas, Electrophorus, Cnidaria. I mean, it's not exactly like I missed the eels and jellyfish, but I do think the missing creatures are needed, as there's not really much of a variety of creatures that spawn in the ocean in general anyway, and there also seems to be no alpha predators that spawn on the entire map. That being said, there is a lot to like about the design of the ocean. It just needs a little more in my opinion. An underwater artifact cave would be the icing on the cake, just saying. So hopefully more creatures get added and we'll see some additional new features. Around the central parts of the map, you will find the Scorched Earth region. This reminds me of a mix of the Australian Outback and the Texas desert. Admittedly, nowhere near as hot as Scorched Earth, but there is a lot of resemblance to it, especially with the creatures that spawn in the area, where you will find Scorched Earth DLC creatures like the Thorny Dragon and the Morellatops. The biome unfortunately does seem to be missing other creatures like the Vulture, Mantis, and the Rock Elemental, so hopefully those will get added later on. The final region I wanted to showcase is my favourite, and once again, it is going to be the Snow Biome, or in this instance, the Alaskan Outback. I really am a sucker for a good snow biome. So the Arctic fills up the entire eastern part of the map, and is currently the largest explorable biome. And I know I said Four-Glass Snow Biome was one of the best I've seen in ARK Survival Ascended, but Appalachia is definitely giving it a run for its money, and I'm torn. It's so simple, but it's so well done. Kinda like food, you can eat the most simplest of dishes, but if it's made to perfection, you just can't beat it. And I like how it's not fully covered in snow like every other snow biome. The snow becomes thicker the further in that you explore, so it's a really nice touch. Expect to find a plethora of rare resources here, mountains filled with metal and obsidian, lakes with oil rocks, and all those staple resources that we come to expect from the snow biome, and of course inhabited by the deadly direwolf packs, the roaming mammoth herds, and the apex predator of the region, the mighty Utyrannus. What I didn't expect was for the average temperature to be 20 degrees in the middle of the day, and this is way too hot for the snow biome. I am hoping this gets changed in the future. I want to be putting on my fur gear and not running around in my undies feeling like I'm overdressed for the occasion. While on the subject of the snow biome, let's move on to the issue with the in-game map. Here you can see I'm at the edge of the in-game map. You would expect me to hit the world barrier right now, but you can see that if we keep moving through the map to the east, that this is all explorable areas, way off the grid, and we can keep on moving into a new part of the snow biome here, which admittedly does lack a few bits of detail, so I wasn't actually expecting to be able to explore out this far. You can see that I've been able to god mode it all the way to the 164 longitude, which is crazy. It goes to show how big this map could potentially be. So if we quickly move back to the Arctic area, you can see that there is a ton of creatures that spawn out here too. Not only this, but there are also cave creatures out here that you'll find in the hard snow caves like the polar bears, yetis, and even the direwolves, all spawning at level 200 plus. This area is enormous, and if I keep on moving down south from here, you can see there's loads more creatures. It does appear there's some issues out here. You can see that these guys are sinking through the mesh as they walk, so there's definitely still quite a lot of work that needs to be done. The landscape looks awesome though. It really does have the spitting image of Antarctica, and I'm absolutely loving the look of it. It's a shame it's still 20 degrees out here. It's definitely not sharing the freezing cold temperatures of Antarctica. Kind of having mixed emotions. I'm excited and confused at the same time. There's a lot of questions floating around my head. Why can this area not be seen on the map? Clearly it looks great, but still very far from finished. And where are all the penguins? This is definitely the area I would love to see a lot of penguins. And there's probably a lot more questions that I can't think of right now, but I guess we'll see what happens in the future. Honestly, I do hope this is part of the map. I hope it gets a little more love, maybe some resource nodes out here. I would love to see a hard artifact snow cave or two, but most of all, it will be nice to update and extend the in-game map so that this area is actually visible on it. And just to point out, this is the same thing that happens in the southern part of the map. You can also explore for miles outside, so hopefully one of the upcoming updates will fix this issue, where all these hidden areas will be visible on the map, where we will finally be able to see and explore Appalachia in all its glory. Some more map features include signs of past civilization. There are these abandoned military camps dotted around the map. Wooden shacks are also found throughout the map. Small houses and farms, which gives the countryside even more character. There does seem to be a lot of these structures. I keep discovering them the more I explore, so I have probably still missed a lot. I also discovered this entire village, which I was not expecting at all. It honestly reminds me of Red Dead Redemption 2. It was pretty overgrown with trees due to being abandoned for such a long time, so I cleared the area with a Bronto to be able to see it much clearer. It also seems you can build inside some of the structures without needing a foundation, so that's pretty cool. This map would probably make for a great roleplay server, if that's still a thing. Explorer notes can also be found scattered around the map, which is always a nice addition. So is the map worth the price tag? Firstly, I'd like to say that the map is amazing, and it's one of the coolest maps I've seen in a while. I do love how the map is so different to other maps, even though it is so simple. Fantasy maps are great, don't get me wrong, but after seeing Appalachia, it goes to show that a map can be full of realistic environment, not designing things too flashy and in your face, and still look as great as it does. The explorable areas, minus the areas outside of the map itself, seem to be very complete. There's everything there, no empty space, everything is almost perfectly designed in that respect. But, yes, there's always a but. There is still a lot missing in my book. I have no idea what is going on with the obelisks. It seems intended to not include them, as there's at least 3 I've seen collapsed in the Snow Biome. However, I have seen obelisk terminals on the map, so I really have no idea what is going on there. Will there be bosses to fight? Who knows? So I'll get into the nitpicking. I did find a cave in the Snow Biome outside the main map. It does have a lot of crystalline. It's a nice find, but the map does not appear to have any explorable artifact caves at all, which does scare me a little, as it's currently stated at 80% completion. Artifact caves and cave running are one of my favorite things to do in ARK. I love a fun and challenging artifact cave, and I really hope these are going to be added in the future, and that there will also be bosses to battle. If I was running a legit playthrough on this map, I can't see there being an end goal. So for me, it needs artifact caves, and it needs an end game boss to work towards. It all depends on how you feel about the map and what you want to use it for. But this is the beauty of ARK. It can be played in so many different ways. I guess you could always combine it with an overhaul mod, which will give you some sort of bosses to fight. But for me, it will always be incomplete until a bunch of artifact caves and bosses get added to it. Progression is a very important aspect of the game for me. As mentioned earlier in the video, there does seem to be a lack of creature spawns or overspawns of certain creatures. For example, we never saw anything spawned in the Redwoods. There is a few creatures I don't think even exist on the map. For example, the Thylacoleo or the Kairuku. I haven't seen any of those yet, and there's also other creatures too. So it might even be impossible to gather organic polymer without penguins and mantis. And the overspawn issue, Quetzals and the Plesiosaur were predominantly the worst in terms of overspawns. That's a lot of Quetzals. Personally, I am happy to pay £5 to support the modders, but this is just me. If you are unsure, I'd recommend waiting a few months and seeing what the future holds for Appalachia. Once again, I highly recommend joining their Discord server to keep up to date with all the map information and updates. They are very active and are working hard to update the map frequently. Link will be in the description of the video and in a pinned comment. One last thing to mention, if you do own this map, you can spice up your adventure by downloading the free Appalachia creature mod pack. This mod will add a rare chance of spawning Appalachian creature variants to your world. So for example, there's variants for the Megaloceros, which is an absolute giant compared to its vanilla version, the Ceratosaurus, the cave bear, the grey wolf, the mammoth, and more. All will spawn alongside their vanilla counterparts and in the same locations. And that is going to be the end of the video. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I really hope it was helpful to you. And if it was helpful, please do consider liking, sharing, subscribing, and chuck down a comment. Let me know what you think of the map and whether you'd like me to check out more mods or mod maps. I really appreciate all the support, and I know I've been focusing on the premium side of mod maps recently, but I am aiming to steer away from premium and focus on other mods and editing my large form videos, which I've had recorded for what feels like a lifetime. So I hope you all have a great week, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Take care. Goodbye.